All right, guys, so I've got an interesting David update for you. So in previous videos, I've talked a lot about how much money this guy was making, okay? Whether you like him or hate him or you think he's guilty or not guilty, this guy was really killing it at music, okay? He was going to the very top. He'd had songs and albums on the Billboard charts. He had made millions of dollars. There was rumors of a $3 million advance being paid to him for his record deal. And I broke it down in a previous video that I thought he'd made upwards of $700,000 ever since this body was found. So this is a guy, whether you love him or hate him, guilty or not guilty, he has had monumental success. And even though his music is pretty creepy and has got all these weird coded messages that could be about this case, you can't deny that this guy is actually a pretty impressive artist when it comes to his music career. Which is why it's perhaps not surprising, but maybe a little bit alarming, maybe a little bit shocking, that the news has just come out that David's biggest song, Romantic Homicide, has actually just returned to the Billboard charts. Not only is it returned to the charts on the Billboard Hot 100, but it's actually pushing a pretty good position. Romantic Homicide is now re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 songs chart. That's the best chart that Billboard has to offer. And the song has landed at number 38 on the chart. Okay, and this is a re-entry, and there it is. I've looked it up on the actual charts. Look, David is at number 38 on the charts. It previously did peak at number 33, and in total throughout his whole career, this thing has been on the charts for 21 weeks. Okay, this is a big song. It's got billions of streams. It debuted at 77 back in 2022, and it peaked at 33 later on in 2022, and it's got a Gains in Performance award. Okay, look. All right, you got to separate the art from the artist. I know it's hard in this case, okay, but Billboard are doing that, okay? You don't get barred from the Billboard charts for getting found with a dead body in your trunk, apparently, and he really is on the charts. Now, this is interesting because I just want to look up. I'm not seeing any Young Thug entries on the charts. It didn't look like any of his songs from his project, even the Hard R, people saying that was going to hit the charts maybe next week. But as of the week of October the 4th, 2025, David is back on the charts, and he is doing very well. Let's see how Reddit reacted to this news. People said, this is sick and disgusting. Shake my head. Literally, his music is banned from my playlists. So, yeah. So people aren't feeling that David is still cashing in on this situation. He's back on the Billboard charts, and people are loving this. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a catchy song. Like, I don't want to like it. I don't want to like David. But his music is his music, man, and you've got to separate the art from the artist. So I thought that was pretty crazy news. I've got a few other updates that I'm going to throw you in this video that didn't really fit into my last video. If you saw the last video, there was new footage. Allegedly, Celeste's ex-boyfriend from when she was in high school has spoken out and basically just gave to be honest, not really too much backstory. There wasn't really too much information in that interview, but it was still interesting. It was still insightful. It gave a few little interesting clues and backstory to everything. But there's some more analysis, there's some more updates that I want to give you guys, and I'm going to give those to you in this video. So apparently that denial that we saw going around on TikTok from David's manager, Josh Marshall, people are basically saying that it's actually true. It was true. He really is denying this. This was posted on News Nation, and it says that David's manager, Josh Marshall, has spoken out saying he had zero knowledge of anything after Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found dead in David's car. Journalist Lauren Conlin got in touch with him and joins Banfield to discuss what he told her. Okay, I mean, people are saying, why would he tell the truth? No one is going to admit that you knew about him being with a minor. He said he spoke like he barely knew David, yet David was at the guy's wedding. There was a post in the sub that seemed to show David at his wedding, which is interesting, but people are saying this is insanely wild and still false information. How could someone do this? Let's read carefully. They say that this is real according to LA Mag. Okay, and it says, okay, now let's read on to see where they got ultimate proof. David's manager, Josh Marshall of Mogul Vision, using the handle JMogul on TikTok, appeared to clap back at comments accusing him of involvement, saying, I had zero knowledge. Are you effing kidding me? Their proof was just that same random TikTok under a random creator's page. This is the most foul and disgusting, ill-informed reporting I've ever seen. This is still unverified. My God. It says, you are wild. Their source was LA Mag, and their source was a random page. Okay, it's saying, did you not watch the video before posting this distasteful, misinformed comments? The person in the video reached out to him on another platform and confirmed that the TikTok was real. Okay, tell you what, all right, let's take a look and just find the original video. All right, this is the actual story, the actual news section where they're talking about this. Let's actually hear what they had to say for real from the horse's mouth.
And she joins me now live. It was a really good break, you being able to connect with Josh Marshall to get him to confirm these things. Did he say anything else? Did he mention anything about where his client David is right now?
No, Ashley, and truthfully, I saw these comments on TikTok on this random video. I could not believe it, and I'm thinking to myself, it's been weeks. There have been so many allegations. Josh Marshall has not said anything yet. So, in order to file this story, I really had to make sure that it was him and these messages were authentic. So I messaged him, not really expecting to get a response. I did some diligence, so I was about 98% sure it was him. And he did write back, and he just confirmed that it was him, and he just stood by his statements, and that was it. So it really wasn't much of anything. However, I still am kind of in shock because the first time you speak out, why would you clap back, in the comments section of a random TikTok video? I do feel like he possibly has consulted with a lawyer, which is maybe why he didn't bring Celeste's name up at all. And he didn't really say anything else besides the denial of knowing anything. So
No doubt he's consulted with a lawyer. I mean, it's very likely. But I think this is good journalism, man. You see how salty these people get in the comments of Reddit trying to say, this is unverified. And then, oh, wait a minute, it turns out it's verified. And the same thing goes for the people criticizing me. Oh, it's so out of line. And then before you know it, oh, wait a minute, he's actually said something that's true and interesting.
oh, who knows? But I was just really surprised.
Well, I was happy to get that clarification that the car license plate traced back to management, not him as manager. So it was interesting to hear him say, hey, hold it, that's not my car. The jury's out on that, but I'll take him at his word for now until we know otherwise. I want to ask you about this mystery email. This is just so curious, though. It's an email that apparently was sent to Josh Marshall. Again, this is the manager of the singer, David. And it's sent by, quote, adults in Celeste's life after her final runaway in 2024. Or rather, not her final runaway, one of her runaways in 2024. The day after the email, Celeste returns home, almost as though the email gets to David and Celeste, and they're like, go on, they're on to us, you better go home, right? The private investigator we talked about this said that there is proof that the email was sent. Do you know at all if the email was received?
Well, according to Josh Marshall, he did not get any type of email. And this is what I think really possibly triggered him to write this denial. He was just like, no, I never received any email. I have no knowledge. And this statement was actually made on a live stream that I did. And I think what happened was it just got clipped by different TikTokers and different content creators. And the headline here was, Josh Marshall knows. What does Josh Marshall know? And he's like, what are you guys saying? I don't know anything. So it felt like it was important to him to clarify this. However, when I saw this, I did go back to my source, the private investigator that we both know. And he's like, nope. I stand by this. I see it right here. I'm looking at it. And not only that, Ashley, he said that his source behind this email sent it to law enforcement, and now it's in law enforcement's hands. So, I mean, it's definitely... Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a he said, she said here, but I'm trying to report both sides. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be unbiased and open-minded because when it comes to this case, Ashley, I am baffled. My mind is racing every day, and the police owe us nothing. They owe us nothing, and, unless we are in danger, unless the public is in danger. So I'm grateful that they're speaking out. However, it seems like more of the same, just in different words.
So honestly, I feel like that's good journalism. She's seen the TikTok comment. She's got the resources to reach out to the person, and she's verified that apparently the TikTok comment was indeed true. But what's really interesting, and as she said, which I think is really important, okay, she's trying to report both sides. She's trying to be impartial. She's trying to give Josh's side, but then also people are saying that this email is real and this happened, and that's contradicting what Josh said. Now, what she said, what was really interesting was, we don't know if that email was received. Was it definitely sent? Was it replied to? Was it seen and never acknowledged? But maybe things happen behind the scenes. We don't know at this stage. But what we do seemingly know now is that there's confirmation that David's manager is trying to shut down the rumors. He's trying to say that he didn't know anything about what was going on. Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. And no doubt has he spoken to a lawyer. But anyway, there's been some more analysis. There's been some more clips that have actually surfaced in the midst of all of this. Okay, they're actually saying that there's another David interview that's resurfaced, and people are saying that this is very weird. They're assuming that this was recorded close to Celeste's death. So let's hear what he had to say. And people are saying that this is indicative of some kind of interesting underlying facts or
who you are, essentially. So it's like, I'll give you an example. Like, you get a gift from your girlfriend, right? But then she's actively cheating on you at the same time, but she gave you that gift. It's not actions speak louder. I mean, she's actively doing something and then telling you one thing and doing the exact opposite. You ever been in a situation where like you want to speak your real opinion?
I don't personally believe that really tells us anything, but I think we're hearing all these things where he's talking about relationship. They say he's being oddly specific. Yeah, a lot of things he does are oddly specific, mostly regarding music and TikToks. There's no way he wasn't involved in some degree. It says that video dropped a few days before people found out that it was Celeste in his car. People are saying this is a really interesting clip. If you see his lyrics, most of them seems like it happened to him. So she probably could cheat on him, or in his point of view, she cheated. Maybe she just talked to another guy, and because of that, maybe he killed her. People are saying, wow, this could be a very big motive. He probably felt he had Celeste in the bag with complete control because he was famous. But dude, she's 14 and you were keeping her away from her friends and family. She was probably lonely and you're pathetic. Okay. Shout out to the defending the Short Kings. This says, not saying Short Kings can't be strong men. All right, come on. I'm getting in the gym. But I definitely see David as someone with a small man syndrome, which might have contributed to why he went for very young girls, because actual women made him feel small. Celeste was only tiny at 72 pounds, about 5 foot. I don't know if she was 72 pounds, but I don't know if that's true. People saying this could be related to Gus. People saying it literally couldn't. He's been dead for a long time. It's never been confirmed. Saying her brother confirmed it. Okay. Anyway, I just want to share, all right, and I don't agree with any of these points of view, but I just want to share what some of the discourse is. We spoke in the last video about how people are saying that David's PR team are in damage control. They're trying to cover things up. They're trying to, allegedly, they're trying to kind of push this new narrative. That's what people think on Reddit, okay? It's unconfirmed, but people are saying that he's hired a top hotshot lawyer, okay, a Hollywood fixer, a crisis management team, and people on Reddit are suggesting that they're actually planting sources that maybe paint Celeste or her family in a negative light. But a lot of people are also suggesting that maybe these crisis management actors, not actors like in terms of like a actor playing a role, but more just like actors as far as them taking actions within a situation. People are suggesting that maybe these people are responsible for some of the more positive posts that are suggesting that David's innocent or that they don't want to believe these allegations. And some people are actually, getting excited and hoping that David's actually going to get cleared of this. Okay, this is a post that was going around. People said they felt disgusted. Somebody posted a meme saying, David is innocent. POV, me dancing to this song after finding out David is no longer the killer. It says, people are so quick to jump to assumptions like David is literally not innocent. He was close with her and not close, just like friends, but as lovers. The body was found in his trunk. And just because he was on tour doesn't mean it can't be him. He's known for bribing people. He could have bribed someone to kill her and put in his car and redeem the car as stolen. There's way more to this story, but it makes me sad how people are ready to drop basic morals for such shitty music. Okay, people are saying, yep, I don't know what to say anymore. This is sick. After that TMZ neighbor video got released, I'm seeing a major shift in people feeling bad. From people feeling bad for her to her saying she deserved it or that David is innocent. I wish the cops would give more info. It says, and it turns out TMZ had a connection with David's lawyer, so TMZ could be bribed or trying to make David look innocent. Also, she's literally a teenager. Like when I was young, my classmates would act like her, prank teachers and fight around like many of us had such rebellious childhoods, but people are quick to switch up over a video like they forgot she's literally a child, okay? And there's a bunch of other analysis here that are basically saying that they're not feeling these things. People are saying, I can't believe this has got 377,000 hearts. Are they stupid? All right. I choose not to engage with this type of post because it will affect my sanity. This is an interesting comment. It's saying his lawyer specializes in celebrities who have had their reputations tarnished by association with crimes. Part of the tactics include social media and media in general to sway public opinion in favor of her client. All the David is innocent posts that have suddenly started appearing aren't a coincidence. It's propaganda from the legal team, and they're likely hoping it snowballs and becomes the common public opinion. People are saying it's 100% a hired media PR campaign. I've noticed it too. People are saying, yep, in recent years, Reddit has become the focus of PR campaigns due to the reputation of Reddit users for being relatively accurate sources for community-found info. These PR games plus ads have brought on the enshittification of Reddit as a platform, sadly. All right? People are saying the fact this has over 300,000 likes make me lose faith in humanity. Most people are sheep and easily led. Okay, people saying, to be fair, innocent until proven guilty. I do think David killed her, but if by slight chance he didn't, he was still a PDF and should be boycotted for that alone. But your comment about him not being able to do it since he was on tour is wrong. Her death was likely mid-July, early August when he wasn't on tour. See my post for details. Also, the car wasn't registered as stolen. It says it's important to know PR companies offer social media manipulation as part of their services, working with content creators to get their version of the story out there, using fake accounts to post about those stories, using fake accounts to argue with people with an opposing point of view. Some people love conspiracies. Some people are honestly looking at all the angles, but I bet a lot of the David is innocent stuff is coming from a PR firm hired by David's family. Okay, people are basically saying that the fans that are just hoping and praying that he's innocent are sick. All right, they're really, really not feeling that. They're disgusted. They're sick. They think it's out of line. And these are some of the comments that they're talking about. Okay, it says, people like her, David fan, make me sick. Not going to lie. Are you kidding right now? You still want him after all of the evidence? People are basically saying, I still hope he's innocent, but don't all of his fans hope that he's innocent? Okay, They're saying it's not likely that he's innocent. There's so much evidence against him. People are saying, I still love him. No, I still support him. People are supporting, he better be innocent. That's what they're posting. Apparently, I commented on a pin of someone on Pinterest, and then I came across this vile and senseless reply of this user. Supporting such a deranged and disgusting person is sick, even after the piles of evidence laying around. This person says, what's the point of bringing this here? Ignore the comments. Why amplify this at all? But I think it is interesting in terms of this wider cover-up, the wider PR push to try and cover things up for David. And people are even doing merch saying that he didn't do it. Look at this, all right? I don't condone this message. People saying, what the F? But they've seen on TikTok, people are selling a David didn't do it blood handprint shirt. I would not want to get caught outside wearing this David didn't do it shirt. That is actually insanity, okay? People are saying it's so insensitive and horrible towards Celeste, and the Photoshop is so bad that it's insult to injury, okay? And there's more stuff going around, okay? People are pointing out flaws in the stolen car defense. People are still shutting down any defenses that are being used. They're still pointing out holes in the narratives of people trying to defend David. It says this is the major flaw in the stolen car defense. I still see people who want to make the defense that the car was stolen, and that still has glaring holes in it that put David on the hook indirectly at best. If the car was stolen by a random, why would it have been parked near his home? What criminal would bring the car near where David was living? It makes no sense. And if the body was already in the trunk and it was done to frame him, why not park directly in front of the house? Also, he would probably have the Tesla app to be able to see what's going on with his car. But the car was never reported stolen. So realistically, one of two possibilities exist. David or someone else close to him drove the car last and moved it there. The list of people would access the car, if they're being honest, would contain the last person to have driven the car. It's a matter of narrowing it down and eliminating people given a time window. Would this be a realistic approach? Some good news is that the Tesla does log when it's been moved, doors are opened, and even when the frunk and the trunk opens. So they could potentially see when the body was placed in the Tesla, and these logs are unable to be deleted by the driver or owner. The Tesla, if it wasn't completely dead, is a valuable witness, even without the camera. I ain't never seen a car be a witness in a case. That's what they're saying. OP says, if the car was taken by anyone, it was someone close to David. If Celeste was placed into the car, it was someone close to David. If it truly wasn't David himself, it would be someone aware of the relationship, familiar with Celeste, and someone who's been to the house before, as the car was just around the corner. The house could be a red herring if she wasn't killed there, but it would be someone in David's personal life. I personally believe that he did it, but even if he didn't, he had something to do with it. His pursuit of a minor put her life in danger. People are saying... yeah. Anyway, people are saying they've debunked the stolen car rumor. It was never reported stolen. Okay, some folks don't keep up to date, but that is what it is, all right? And look, all right, we'll react to the same things. I don't duck, no fades. They're saying that I'm milking this, all right? They're saying that I'm milking it. I've posted too much. I've done too much investigation, all right? I've looked too closely into David. I wonder if this is part of the PR push. I wonder if some of the hate for me is part of the PR push to try and get me to stop talking about this. Because realistically, if this really went down the way people think that it went, they're not going to be feeling me doing all this talking about the situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a PR push to try and get me out the way to say that I'm milking it. I've already defended myself in a previous video about this, but let's have a look at some of the hate that they're sending my way, and there was some positive stuff. But I think it's ironic that Redditors that are posting about this non-stop are hating on me for making videos about the situation, when in actual fact, we're all just trying to get to the bottom of this story. I just happen to have a platform and do this for a career. But anyway, people saying, bro, deadass making a 40-minute video of people telling David... Sorry, he made a 40-minute video of telling people that David hopped on Fortnite and Discord recently, talk about milking. That's not really what happened, all right? I did a video with a whole bunch of updates, and that just so happened to be the most interesting update. People are saying quite literally, yes, he's monetizing off of a young girl's death. I don't think that that's true. I'm monetizing off of quality reporting. You know, just because you guys are in Reddit basically just going hive mind about this situation, just because I'm monetizing it and you guys aren't. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still trying to get to the bottom of this same theory, all right? And TMZ are doing the same thing. We're all just trying to get to the bottom of this. And there are some good comments eventually, all right? But we're going to have to get through the haters. He and his content are full of shit, doesn't research anything, and just makes Reddit comments into videos to make more ad money. We'll wait until you see the full-blown investigation on my main channel. You can shut up about all those Reddit comments, because trust me, that is going to be a whole different breed, okay? This is just a reaction. I'm just quickly updating you guys on stuff that's going on Reddit. Yes, I'm reading Reddit, right? Reddit is where most of the trending information. The Redditors should be proud of themselves for getting all of this information out there, okay? I'm just following behind the Redditors at the end of the day. So shout out, hats off to the Redditors. People are saying, I've seen his video thumbnails and it's clickbait. I don't think it's clickbait. I actually feel like I'm actually giving you exactly what I say. Okay, I was going to make a post to show me examples of channels to avoid and how they sensationalize stuff and use bullshit titles. I feel like my titles are actually pretty on point. This really exposed his channel and character overall to me. I'm done with that N-word, okay? I appreciate the compliment. Shout out to you. He definitely ain't the only one. Some smaller true crime channels are only covering this when they originally covered multiple unrelated crimes. Just because you guys aren't watching all my other videos about Young Thug, Young Boy, Lil Durk, doesn't mean that they're not there, okay? People saying it's honestly sad this little girl came up with a rough upbringing. Parents probably didn't have the most money. One of the reasons that David was probably able to control her was money. In death, people have profited off her death. She may have generated some money for David. Some money. No one's making more money out of this than David right now. That's facts. Even the string theory interlude, but she'll never live to see the money that's rightfully hers. Who knows if she may have been sampled elsewhere in his catalog, but even the fact that David sings about her, she's made so many people money in her death, it's so heartbreaking. Now, I do think there's an interesting point here because sometimes I feel like people act like, oh, just any sort of profiting, anybody making any money to anything connected to crime or violence is wrong. But at the end of the day, all of these news organizations have dozens of posts about all the tragedies that are going on. It's always negative news. There's always banner ads all over the page. They're really just trying to get paid and basically support and fund their reporting, their journalism. They're investigating into this. Look, okay, the police are investigating this, all right? They don't need to make videos. The tax dollars go to the police and they're going to investigate this. We're independent people. We could be doing anything with our time, and it just so happens, me, TMZ, LA Times, KTLA, we're all looking into this because it's in the public interest and it's important, okay? It is actually important, and at the end of the day, I feel like I'm just delivering what is actually going on, okay? I'm just delivering what's going on to you guys, and you guys want to hear it. It is what it is. But I do want to point your attention to this comment, which I actually thought was pretty good. It says, here's my unpopular opinion. I see his videos as a news aggregator. It's like a TLDR for all these hundreds of Reddit posts. I actually find his videos helpful. It's easy to lose hours of time every day reading through all these posts and comments. Ross allows me to review more than one source at the same time. While he's reading the Reddit post to me, I can be scrolling through Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or even reading news articles about it. If a particular post sticks out, it draws attention to it, and I can go comment or read further discourse on that topic. But even better, for people who don't spend a ton of time on this platform or don't really know how to navigate Reddit, it brings the information to them. It isn't any different than people compiling a collection of reels or TikToks or tweets, which I see all the time, and making one big post. I think he's providing a service, and if people didn't think it was helpful, he wouldn't have so many views. Go back and look at his most recent videos. The ones with the most views are the David ones because that's the biggest and most interesting story with no conclusion yet. This is his wheelhouse. His whole channel is hip-hop news. He stays informed about music news. I have a journalism degree, and Reddit was one of the tools that we were taught was most useful in finding leads and mining information for possible news stories. What he does is 100% legit. I don't always agree with his opinions and have the same takeaways that he does, but I have to say that he's pretty objective and keeps the opining to a minimum. Ross is also very transparent about the fact that most of the info he's reporting on is speculation, unproven. He's just bringing it to the audience so they know what others are thinking too. Now, I do really appreciate that comment. I do feel like there's a lot of hate. I wonder who the source for some of this hate is. I don't know if it's some PR moves being made, but I basically just, look, I agree with that comment, all right? I feel like I'm an aggregator for everything that's going on. I'm taking all of the discourse and condensing it down to you. Quite literally, look, the people say, oh, you're doing so many videos. It's like, bro, so much is going on that within the time of me doing video, 2-3 hours passed, and there's a whole bunch of new information. I'm grabbing that, I'm squeezing it all together, I'm aggregating it into one video so you guys can follow along so that we can look back and have a good snapshot of everything as it happened, all right? If the story completely changes, if the PR campaign to cover this up or the PR campaign to try and twist the narrative changes a lot, we're going to want to look back. Because if in 3 months' time you've got all of these fanboys and you've got all of these, alt accounts with no display picture and a bunch of fake PR accounts completely changing the narrative saying David's innocent, people aren't going to be able to look back and say, well, what were people saying at the start? All right. If they twist things around, we're going to completely lose sight of the fact that right now, based on everything that is out there, people, not me, I mean, I've got my own opinion, but people are thinking that he's guilty. People are thinking that this is enough to prove it. And I think that it is really important that we condense these down, okay? And we create these time capsules that actually represent what the discourse was at the time, whether or not that changes. I think what I'm doing is important. And I feel like one really good point that was made there, a lot of people have said to me in the past, like, bro, I don't be using Reddit. I don't even know how to navigate Reddit. Like all these different subreddits and your feed, and then there's the popular feed and your own feed and the latest feed. Some people aren't tech literate and they don't know how to use Reddit like that. I am a Reddit ninja. Okay, ninja, not the other word. I am a Reddit ninja. Okay, I can find all the stuff on Reddit quick. All right. Some people, it would take them weeks to find all the information that I'm finding, okay? I'm high IQ when it comes to Reddit, okay? I know where the information is. That just is what it is, okay? I'm aggregating everything that's being said every day, every few hours, and I think that is really helpful. So, look, for the people that hate what I'm doing, fair enough. You know, if you had your way, what would we have? Complete ban on free speech, no news articles, shut down TMZ, shut down Fox News. No one's allowed to speak about a case unless you're law enforcement. Lock up anyone on Reddit. Because if you're going to take me down, let's take down all the commenters, all the TikTokers. Let's lock up all the people that are even talking about this. And let's just let David move on with his life and potentially never get charged with this situation without anyone talking about it. If that's really what you're arguing for, that's super lame. Okay, we got free speech, all right? Well, at least the Americans over there have free speech. Maybe not so much here in the UK, but like free speech is a real thing, all right? We got to protect it. At the end of the day, I got to protect your right to be able to say that you think David's innocent the same way that I've got a right to be able to talk about my opinions on the situation, other people's situations, and everything that everyone's saying on Reddit. So anyway, I'm going to leave things there, okay? I got to pop out to a little something, all right? I need to get out of the house. That's why I'm not streaming today, because I've got some errands to run. But I will be back with some more updates. That's everything I could find about David in the last 24 hours. If I find something new, I'll do an update. If not, I do want to do a video about what's going on with No Limit and G Herbo. There's been a bunch of mad stuff going on there. Maybe something to do with Kai Cenat. There's some Mimo 600 drama. A few more hip-hop stories. I haven't really seen anything new on Young Thug. But anyway, I'll be back with another video later on. I'll keep you guys updated. And until that time, I'm out of here. Peace.